Okay. All righty, we are live. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining us here at the Doc Bookshop. Today is our New Year, New You, New Book event, and it's all about wealth, health, and empowerment on today. We got some great speakers on today, some great authors going to be in the house, and we're kicking off with Marcus Hill. He is the author of Assessing My Value, and we're just excited to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us. So, kind of, Marcus, tell us about just your inspiration. How did your book come about?
Thank you so much for allowing me to be here today. So my book came about. I'm in a position of real estate where not too many people get any information on the appraisal part. Most people know about the realtor. They know about the mortgage person. They heard of people that invest into properties, but the part of real estate where you never get any information is the appraisal. And basically, in this appraisal process, when you buy a house, the bank is not going to close on this property unless they know what the value is of the property. And so, the appraisal to me is the most important part because you have no deal unless you get the value. And
That's the money person.
Yes. And so, in this field of appraisals in America, it's about 78,000 appraisers everywhere. And so there is, the average age is 50 to 65 years old. And so the inspiration of me writing this book is to show a younger generation of learning this particular field where you don't see no young people, you see few people of color, no women. And so I felt like I should share my story to kind of inspire more people to get into this field.
Okay. Okay. Now you mentioned, well, how did you get this? How did you get started with appraisal? I mean, you're right. We know about the realtor. We're not really familiar with appraisals. So how did you get started with in the appraising field?
So my goal, my first goal I set for myself was to go to college. And so I ended up going to college. I set out my first goal. And because I did that, that allowed me to be open.
Were you going into real estate though in college?
No, not at all. So I wanted to go to law school after college. I had a cousin that went to the law school back in Little Rock, Arkansas, and I wanted to kind of follow his steps. And so once I graduated college, I got an opportunity to take a summer job working for this guy named Philip Thompson. And Philip is all in my book because he literally gave me the opportunity to learn this particular craft in this particular field. He gave me pretty much everything. I had no clue about real estate. We lived in houses, apartments, and stuff like that, but I just didn't know that this is a part of the most important part of real estate. And so he gave me a summer job. And in this summer job, my whole horizon just opened up. Like he showed me the process of doing an appraisal, like going out to houses, measuring properties. And I just became so fascinated just by a summer job that, wow, I want to do this as a career. Oh. And also I saw at the time that I didn't see any young people. There was few people of color in this particular field. And that kind of took over me to be like, wow, this is something I really love to do. I became so passionate, so young. And I didn't expect 2 years I would be starting my own company in appraising. And at that time, that opportunity made me to become one of the youngest in Arkansas history to start an appraisal company.
Okay, and tell us about that article.
So the state of Arkansas.
You had a huge article.
the state of Arkansas recognized me about a year ago. And so there's a particular part of the Arkansas newspaper called the high profile part of the Arkansas Democrat Gazette. And so, just to have that, to be recognized in that way was just amazing. I talk about my grandfather in the article as well. And I literally stayed over his house because he still gets the paper. And so I literally stayed over his house for him to get the paper and kind of see me there because he poured a lot into me as a young man. And so just to honor him that way, he's a Vietnam vet. He worked for the city of North Little Rock for 20 years. A lot of work ethic. I saw a lot of work ethic that he put and instilled in me. And so I just wanted him to have that moment of, oh, wow, I see all the things that I did for you paid off, and to be recognized like that was just an amazing honor.
Okay. Now, also, just kind of break down your book for us, your chapters, and is there any particular page you want to read to us? Now would be a great time to do that. Just kind of break down the book. How did you organize your work?
Yeah, so in this book, I do have a foreword by Philip Thompson. He's the guy that gave me the opportunity to become an appraiser. First off, let me just talk.
Because you was working for him.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, and so let me just talk a little bit about the title. The title is Assessing My Value, and so I grew up in a part of Little Rock, Arkansas, where there was a lot of stuff going on. Like there's a lot of uncomfortable things like drugs, gangs, the documentary called Banging in Little Rock. And I literally, millions of people saw that on HBO, but I was actually living it every day. And so to have the mindset to create, just to set a goal, I knew I didn't want to do nothing in the neighborhood. I wanted to, do something more. And so that's where I kind of came up with the title, Assessing My Value, because I did at that time. I was in middle school and I decided to say, hey, I want to go to college. I don't care. Whatever else I do in life, this is what I want to do. And so I go through this book. I have a foreword by Philip Thompson. I'll just kind of read the dedication. This, to my late grandmother, Ernestine Lockhart, this book is for you. I hope I have been living a life you have been proud to see. This book is also dedicated to my family, friends, and those who have found their passion for a career. And I feel like we don't really push passion to our youth and people we love. Because I feel like if you find that one thing that you love, you're gonna put so much energy into it. And that's literally what happened to me with appraisals. It's so uncommon to get into that part of real estate, And so in my book, I also have a introduction by my 92-year-old grandfather. He's actually 93.
Wow.
His birthday was this last November. And so I transcribed his words to have him share something about me from him. And so I wanted him to be a part of my story. When people find out about me, they know about him as well. So you get to read a little bit about his thoughts of me.
Were you raised by your grandparents?
I was raised by my mom, and
okay.
But sometimes you just have a special relationship with grandparents. Sometimes, yes, and my mom's so supportive, but I actually had a lot of mommies and daddies. I was in church, and so a lot of people there kind of really inspired me and pushed me to do well. So I had the best of both worlds, had wonderful family members, but also had people that was not even related to me, just supporting me. And I think that's where we don't get a lot of, just information about what church does. If you're around a lot of people that just want to see you do well. And that was so beneficial to me in my story. Also, I have a, let's see, I'm just gonna read the preface.
Let me hold it while you look.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'll just start off with the little preface of my book. So in 2007, I became a double unicorn in the home appraisal industry. Before my 27th birthday that year, I received my appraisal license in an industry in which even today, 1.3% of African Americans are represented, according to the first quarter of the 2019 Appraisal Institute U.S. Valuation Professional Fact Sheet, which is the largest professional association for real estate appraisers. The majority of these petitioners range anywhere between 51 to 65. 51 to 65 in an industry that is so important, you know? And however, I started in the appraisal industry fresh out of college. I was literally 1 month from graduating college to be training as a real estate appraiser. And so I started at the appraisal industry fresh out of college at 24. The percentage of appraisers 25 or under at that time was 0.9% based off a study. And so this is another reason why I wrote this book, because I want to showcase, hey, younger people can have the same opportunities as older people. And it's a wonderful career. You have to have an appraisal, you know, regardless of a transaction. And so not only was I an anomaly in the industry, but I was a successful anomaly. After receiving my license, I left the company in which I apprenticed and put on my own shingle as an appraiser. As I stepped outside the box to build trust with local banks, mortgage companies, and real estate agents, I branched out further by also going to work as a mortgage originator, credit repair expert, and owner landlord of multiple properties. So not only did I start an appraisal company, but I wanted to learn everything in real estate. And so I went on to, I was running an appraisal business. I wanted to buy my first house, but so that made me want to learn mortgages. So I went and worked for a mortgage lender while I was running appraisals, which also encouraged me to learn investments. And so I was doing all these things literally at 25, 26 years old. So I kind of come a long way for being raised by a single mother in a tough Little Rock, Arkansas neighborhood. And I'll talk about, you know, banging in Little Rock. I enjoyed several key benefits that kept me from following the paths of those I saw around me. One, I had a good, God-fearing mother who kept me on the right path. Two, I had a grandfather to whom I was close and who did the same. Three, I was part of a close-knit church community that from the pastor on down included positive male mentors and who had an impact on my life. And four, there was always something inside of me, something that made me determined not to bend to peer pressure and become another negative black male statistic. So I bloomed where I planted. I went to historic Central High School. Central High School, y'all heard of Little Rock 9?
Okay.
So I went to Little Rock Central. That's where I graduated. And it really didn't hit me until years later after going to Central to know that, wow, I walked the same halls as Little Rock 9 did. And I actually met one of the Little Rock 9 a few months ago. And just a historic part of Arkansas that most people don't remember. It was back in 1957 is when they entered into Little Rock Central. And so,
Okay.
or I can go on to.
Okay. Well, let's check the audience. Okay, so are there any questions or any comments? Yes.
Yes. What about the statistic about African Americans' home being underpraised? Is there any effort to remedy that or correct it?
Oh.
Yes.
For those who didn't hear the question, I want to make sure they hear it on the question was about African American homes being underappraised. And Mark is going to address that.
Yeah, so I'm sure people have been hearing things in the news about people's property values being misrepresented, people having to remove their photos, all of that. You know, in my opinion, I think the problem is representation. because all across America, over 78,000 appraisers, it's not a diverse industry. And so I think that's where you have to work on making the industry more aware to our community, honestly. And this is why I wrote this book, to kind of just share a part of real estate that you don't really hear about, but it's so important. And so I think the way to combat that is encouraging more people to get into this industry, learn more about it, because it's never going anywhere. This industry is literally recession proof. And I know because I started my company in the 2008 recession. And so it's been yes, and so it's been an industry where it's never going away. And so I think by sharing this industry to schools, more colleges, talking about it more in our communities, this is how you change that narrative by putting more of a diverse background into the field.
Now, okay, so how do one become an appraiser? What is the process?
Sure.
Because there may be someone interested in becoming an appraiser. Do we have any appraisers out in the audience?
Yes, we do.
We got one?
Yeah.
Raise your hand. Who's an appraiser? Okay, wonderful.
Well,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
One second. Can I? Well, I just would say this is Mr. Brian Fuller.
Yeah.
And so, you know what they say, got to bring receipts, right? So, well, Mr. Fuller, I met him when I graduated college. We worked in the same appraiser office.
Okay, with
Mr. Philip Thompson.
Mr.
Yes. And so just want to say thank you for coming. And, you really helped me out a lot. I was very young and, we were in the same office. And once you become an appraiser trainee, you were literally trying to get your hours, your education hours and experience hours. And so, yeah, it was a great time in my life because I was so young. I was 24. Like,
yeah, we all amazed Marcus. He was a young baby in the office, and he was like, "You're gonna be all right. You're young." And he was aggressive. We just all, like he said, we gotta foster mentorship. We gotta foster.
That's important.
Just support each other because that gives us the courage to step out and be bold like we are today.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we come from Arkansas, but we out in the world doing great things on many facets because we got that foster when we were young.
That's good.
So that's the key. No matter where we were, no matter what industry, we got to foster and help each other. And
Yes.
that's key to life.
Yeah, mentorship is important. Thank you for sharing that. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, and so the question on how to become an appraiser. So when I started training in 2005, you literally had to have a college degree to be even to train as an appraiser. Today you don't.
A college degree in anything?
Yeah. You
Okay.
just had to have equivalent of a bachelor's, but now you do not. You can get the first license without a college degree now. And basically the steps are, every appraisal board, every state has its own appraisal board. And so you literally can Google Texas Real Estate Appraisal Board and see what the requirements, education-wise, of what you need to do, and then how many experience hours that you have to get. So basically you have to take several courses and then work underneath someone that has an appraisal company and get those experience hours. And then sit in front of they may have a state board interview, but I'll just into that. Like, I was 25 when I submitted all of my things to the state of Arkansas. And so these courses that you have to take, now you can take them online, but I was having to take these in person. And so you would literally pay $300-400 a course. You sit in this classroom, and I'm just gonna be real, like, it was quite an experience because I was the only young African-American in the majority of my courses that I took. I was the only one. And just to be in that room, having to take that test, it's quite, it was something, And so I went through all the coursework, and then I, working on the Philip, I got all my experience hours, and in the state of Arkansas, I had to submit these hours to the board. And so once you submit all the things and they check it out, it's good. Now you get an interview. And in my book, I take you through my journey training. I take you through the interview process. It was so crazy because I walked in there and I probably was the youngest African-American ever in Arkansas history to even get to that point. It's 50 to 65 years old still today, of the average age. And so going in front of that interview process was, I'm telling you, I put on my best suit so I couldn't look like I was 19, but I was 25, but they ask you multiple questions. They go through the reports that you submit. And
did you feel intimidated?
I knew my stuff, and I'll talk about it in the book of how I felt. Like this book is mainly, I'm having a conversation with you from the entire time. I'm just giving you my thoughts and feelings. But yes, when it started, I was intimidated a little bit because it's like, they never seen anybody look like me at this age. And then, they're going through these questions and maybe expecting me not to know it. But what they didn't know is that I literally found my passion. Like I knew every single thing about this appraisal game. And so they would ask me question after question. How do you make adjustments here? How did you come up with the value here? Multiple things about, they were looking at an appraisal report and kind of just going through and asking me. And I know that if I don't say the right thing, they would deny me to go take the test. You have to get through this process to even go take the test. Wow. And so it was crazy to be at that age going,
So how many years does it take to become an appraiser? What is the year?
Yeah, so I would say it took me 2 years to get my license, but some people do it in sooner. It's really how active you're working to get your experience hours. Today, I would say about 16, 18 months, because you can literally take the courses online now and then find a company to work underneath and then, go through the process and sit for the exam. The courses are, I'm gonna tell you, it's not an easy field. And I don't think it really should be because you are the last, you're the most important process because if you don't know the value of that house, somebody can go be underwater, overwater on their mortgage day one. And so they make it tough. It's a lot of stuff you got to learn, but it's so important because, a person is making a financial decision off of your value. And it should be important. If that, people are getting lend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars off of your number. So I think you should know what you need to do. And so it takes about, I would say 16, 18 months. But now, like I said, there's 3 different licenses you can get. You can get state license, certified residential, and appraiser general. The first license, you can just not have any college experience, go take the courses, work underneath an appraiser, and get those hours and go on. The second and third, you do have to have college experience. Certified residential, you have to have about a bachelor's, and it's, of course, appraiser general. So the first license, a lot of people just praise single family houses. The second license, I feel like why they make it a little bit more tough is because you get to appraise FHA and VA deals. The vast majority of America uses FHA loans. And so, and VA is all government. So, and then the last license, the appraiser general, they literally can come appraise this whole shopping mall. No, and if you think about it, everything that has a value, if it's income producing, it's got a value to it. And the appraiser can literally put a value on anything, land, apartment, this shopping center. So it's so important. But just think about it, somebody come appraise this whole shopping mall, it may take them 2, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, and they probably made about, $5,000, $10,000 just off of knowing how to do that value. And so it's a really good field, for people that choose to learn.
Okay. Any other questions? Something new about go ahead, dear.
So I have a question, Marcus.
Hey.
So you're saying that, the majority of the appraisals are 50s. So I'm just curious about that. Is it that they stay in the field and so you see yourself still doing it in your 50s? Or do they have a first career, they get in it? What's up with that?
So,
Good question.
yes, thank you for
That's
the
a great
question.
question. Mhm.
In this particular industry, if you talk to an appraiser, they're gonna tell you, oh, I've been doing this 20 years. Most people work a job and then they find out about this and then they coast into retirement to not do a lot of work. I mean, it's a lot of work, but it's more, it's on your own time. I was 26 years old, working from home. I work when I want to work. I could, if I didn't feel like working, I just put myself in the black and don't receive no orders. But it's that type of business. It allows you so much flexibility. And so people get into this field around 50, because they work a job. And like I said, they get a hold to this. And then you ask people, hey, how long you been in the industry? And they're gonna tell you 20, 30 years every time. Because once you get in, you're not gonna wanna get out, because it's a constant flow of business. People are never gonna stop buying and selling. And it's not just buying and selling. When people refinance, when banks foreclose on properties, when you get remove your mortgage insurance, when people get a divorce, tax appraisals, insurance appraisals, this is so many different things that most people have no clue that you can just get this and coast on, and it's just an older field. For me personally, I'm not in the field anymore. I wanted to, because there's nobody's talking about this industry, I decided to launch my own speaker career, in which now I am traveling around the US and giving people this information that I'm sharing. And I put a lot in the book, but I want to be intentional about sharing and what it did to me. It changed my entire life at 25. I was sometimes do 3-4 appraisals a day, and the average appraisal fee is anywhere between $400 to $600. And I just want more people to know, hey, you can get into this young, you can be a person of color to be in this field, but to know how powerful it is. And I feel like for me, I should be doing that since I was blessed with this opportunity so young.
Are you seeing more women getting involved in the field?
Yes. So I actually mentor people all across the country, and I mentored a young lady in the state of Florida. She's going to be the first African-American female to be licensed in the state. And so, yes. And it's crazy. I've been in this field almost 20 years, but I've only met like 5 Black women appraisers. And that goes to show, it's a wide open field. It's so wide open. There's multiple banks you can work at. It's just it's even crazier today. Go.
Oh, Ian, you may have already talked about this, sorry for being late, but how appraising houses and how that affects the generational wealth in Black, our whole entire, community, how they, kept a lot of the things from us with generational wealth on assessing home values and things like that. I don't know if you've talked about it, but that would be something.
Yeah, a little bit. You got a little bit about the.
Yes, and historically, because there's less than 2-3% African Americans in this field, that's been
So you're saying that if we get more African American appraisers, the value will be more equitable versus right now they're saying that a lot of the homes are being under appraised.
Yeah, and you really can't even tell on the report unless you're an appraiser, because only appraisers know how to read it. And this is why I do workshops around learning how to read the appraisal, like learning how to look at comps, what it's supposed to look like. But the only people that would know is me and Brian. Like everybody in this room can look at a whole appraisal report. Only me and Brian is gonna know what it's saying. And that's, I feel like, is
But okay, if someone appraised my home, right, and I didn't agree with it, So I will be able to contact you all. You can give a second appraisal or.
Well, so here's the thing. It's an opinion of value. Everybody has an opinion. You know, these people just so happen to be licensed to get their opinion. And that's all really appraisal is. But, you know, there are certain situations that you've seen, you know, in the media, in the news about, you know, home value differences in which there should not have been, you know. And so, but you can't really tell on every occasion, you know, but what you can do is make more awareness of this field and get more people in.
They have something called reconsideration of value too. When you really feel like you got a solid case, go back to your lender and you say, look, I want a reconsideration of my value because I feel like something's not right with this report. And that's what
Okay.
tidbit people don't really have when they go deal with lenders. So just always consider that when you're dealing with an appraisal.
Yes, and also this industry is state licensed, so you know if you have a problem, all you got to do is take your problem to the board. That's where you go, and most people don't even know to do that. A lot of people just accept the value and move on, but it's state regulated, so there is all you got to do is Texas Real Estate Appraisal Board, and you know put your complaint there. I mean, because it's all a licensing process. But go ahead.
First, I'm just happy and so honored to be able to be here and hear you speak on this issue. But for those who are interested in this industry and going into this industry, what could you share one of your more profound challenges or obstacles that you've encountered and how you overcame that?
Good question.
Sure. You know, there are multiple obstacles in this business. One is finding a mentor, because you can take the courses all day long, but I tried. In my situation, I was just very blessed. I was blessed. I met someone that I grew up with in church, and he kind of just gave me the opportunity. I didn't even know what he was really doing, but once I got in there and saw, oh, okay, he's an appraiser. And so that was a challenge. I didn't necessarily have that challenge, but that is a main challenge in this field. And I'm really happy to hear that there is a group called the Appraisal Diversity Initiative that's out there. And this initiative is focusing on bringing more minorities and people of color into this field. And that is a way to kind of combat the not being able to get a mentor. And so I guess another challenge is, you know, it's a lot of stuff that you got to learn. You know, like the courses are not, it's not some cakewalk, you know. And so I don't think I didn't really have that problem with getting through the courses, but I've been mentoring people. And the problem is, you know, a lot of people may think they can just go take these courses and it ain't nothing, but it's really something. It's really tough. And so you got to really dedicate time and energy to get into this. And it, like I said, it should not be easy. You know, you're the last point of somebody's getting their home loan. And so you got to know what you're doing in this field. But I just would say the mentor role and then actually really studying and the education parts are some challenges. I didn't really have them. You know, I was really blessed to have the mindset to just really dive into it and just stay focused. I got to a point where I was working with Philip. I didn't even realize that I was on the path of starting my own company. I was just doing what most appraisers do. We go to the courses, we work underneath the mentor. But I didn't know that I was going to be going into entrepreneurship at 26, you know. But I became so passionate about this industry, and I knew my stuff. And you know, some people, I remember some people did not give me positive aspirations when I told them that I was thinking about starting my company. I still remember to this day, and I think it was because of my age, but I didn't really see it like that. I just saw it as, oh, I know this, you know. And so whatever you tell me that I'm not gonna do, I'm gonna do it because I feel very confident and competent in this field to launch my own company. And I'm glad I bet on myself, because if I would have took that energy and just deterred me, who knows, I might not be here talking about a book. But
I like that. He bet on himself.
and but yeah, so go ahead.
Okay.
I have a question that's two-part. Within the real estate industry, it was brought to our attention that people of color in certain areas weren't, for certain areas, certain properties wasn't made known to us. Do you know whether or not that issue has been addressed? And then also from a buyer's perspective, do you conduct workshops for homeowners to be able to know whether or not their house is appraised accurately?
So I'll go to your second question first. Yes, today I'm in a role where I host workshops all across America. I do an appraisal one-on-one workshop. I kind of break it down, just the basics. Before you buy your first house, I do home buyer workshops. I kind of talk about, the different levels of buying, plus give appraisal knowledge and education around that. To me, I think it's way more important for me to just kind of share what I learned in home buyer workshops, in person and virtually. And so the first question, are you pertaining to like foreclosure homes or?
No, for a person who is seeking to buy a home, first home or additional home,
Yes.
there are unlisted properties that when they see your social security number, it determines where you were born, your ethnicity, etc. And certain properties are not released to you as available.
Now, are you saying the agent is not giving you those properties, or?
It's a variety of different organizations. It's been in the news for a while.
Now, there are pocket listings. Pocket listings is where only the community knows that these houses are about to go to sale, but you wouldn't know because you're not in this loop. And so there are a lot of things like that that are there. But from an overall perspective, I haven't really heard of those things happening.
Okay. All right. Well, we are out of time. So if you have any further questions, you can definitely join or talk with Marcus. He'll be at his table. Again, the books are available at the front. We have some copies, and then make sure you get your book signed, and definitely come meet Marcus Hill.
Yeah.
And do you have any closing remarks? And let people know how they can get in touch with you.
Sure. So let me just give you a little bit more about this book. So yes, the first half of it is just my journey, my story, and just how I just became so passionate about this industry. And I just literally walk you through my journey like I'm having a conversation with you from the entire book. And so the second part of the book, I wanted to, yes, share my story, what it was like in 2008, running a company when the housing crisis was happening, literally. And but I also wanted to give you tips and strategies around real estate. I got a whole chapter about landlording. You want to become a landlord? Here's some intentional things that you need to know. Got a whole chapter about buying your first house. This is why you want to get into home ownership quickly. I have a whole chapter about real estate investments. Here's all the things that I did when I was a younger person. The first property I ever bought, I used strategy. I never intended living in that house. I just wanted to get the rental income and property equity. So I talk about all the things that I was getting into at this age, but I just wanted to, yes, share my story, but also wanted to, at the end of the book, it's just little mini workshops for people. And so I did that intentionally to just give some of the things that people may want to know, but you don't want to pay hundreds of thousands to get it, So go ahead.
Did you have anything in your book about property management,
Absolutely. I also talk about managing. I've owned properties, but I've never had a property manager. I've done it myself. So I literally give you tips and strategies around that. So, yes.
Okay. All right, he's the one source for real estate. Give him a hand. For all levels of real estate. All right, so our next, I'm sorry, let me end this.